My God, I hate drugs.
Kung ayaw raw kumilos ng Administrasyong Duterte para kontrahin ang pag-angkin ng China sa ilang teritoryo ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea, ayon kay Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio, sana raw wag itong gumawa ng hakbang na mangangahulugang isinusuko natin ang ating karapatan sa pinag-aagawang teritoryo. Ito ay sa gitna ng mga namataang bagong estruktura sa mga isla sa Spratlys, kabilang ang Zamora o Subi Reef na may runway para sa mga fighter jet ng China.
If the present administration doesn't want to do anything beyond that, well, that's their prerogative. But they must at least preserve our rights under the ruling to allow the next administration to enforce it.
Nauna nang sinabi ng palasyo na maghahain sila ng formal protest sa China sa mga estrukturang itinayo. Bagay na sinabi ni Carpio na dapat lang daw gawin para hindi lumabas na isinusuko natin ang ating exclusive economic zone.
If we don't file formal protest, it will go in that direction, because we will be deemed to have acquiesced. We should not do anything to waive it. And inaction is a waiver.
Panauhing pandangal si Carpio sa pribadong exhibit ng itinuturing na Mother of All Philippine Maps, ang Murillo Velarde map na nilikha ng paring Jesuitang si Father Pedro Murillo Velarde noong 1734. Makikita rito ang pinagtatalunang Bajo de Basinloc o noong itinatawag na Cabeza de Negros. Ito rin ang pangunahing ebidensyang ginamit ng Pilipinas sa protestang inihain ito sa UN Arbitral Tribunal laban sa China. Kinatigan ng tribunal ang Pilipinas noong 2016 at sinabing walang ebidensya ang China na magpapakitang meron itong eksklusibong kontrol sa South China Sea. Ipinapakita lang daw nito, sabi ni Carpio, na hindi man kasing detalyado ang mga sinaunang mapa, malaking tulong daw ang mga ito para mabunyag ang mga kasinungalingan.
The tax reform law appears to be hitting minimum wage earners hard, with prices of basic goods going up. Labor unions are now pushing for higher wages to help those of low income make ends meet. Zian Arcangel reports.
Minimum wage earners are seeing their buying power shrinking weekly as prices of basic goods keep on rising. The Associated Labor Unions Trade Union Congress of the Philippines says the 512 peso minimum wage is worth 326 pesos in Metro Manila. That's down from 357 pesos 4 weeks ago, when prices of basic commodities were lower. With the prices of basic goods and fuel going up, partly due to the tax reform law, LUTU-CP spokesperson Alan Tanhusay believes it's time to increase the minimum wage nationwide to 800 pesos.
Reklamo na kami noon na wala pang train na mataas na yung inflation. Here comes the train. Merong two-pronged na stimulation sa inflation kung kaya napakabilis at napaka-furious ng inflation. We are now in a situation that the wages must be adjusted.
In response to President Rodrigo Duterte's order, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello in a radio interview says he has directed regional and tripartite wage boards to discuss the effects of the tax reform law on workers. Also in the President's order, Secretary Ramon Lopez says the Department of Trade and Industry will step up its campaign in monitoring stores to guard against profiteering. Lopez says from 400 stores, the DTI will be stepping up monitoring efforts nationwide to ensure they are complying with the suggested retail prices of basic goods. But based on their monitoring, Lopez says manufacturers and supermarkets follow SRPs for fear of being penalized. He adds they will closely monitor agricultural products in wet markets as prices fluctuate. To ensure the stability of prices in wet markets, Lopez urges the Agriculture Department to post SRPs there, and prices will be set depending on the supply and demand situation weekly. With the increase in prices, Tanhusay says the government should also grant a separate 500 peso cash subsidy for minimum wage earners.
Dapat maglabas din yung gobyerno ng form of subsidy to augment wage increases o wage rates na ibibigay ng mga employers so that the workers would be able to cope with the inflation.
They're hoping their proposals for a minimum wage hike and subsidy will both be approved soon to help those barely making ends meet survive. Zian Arcangel, CNN Philippines.
The Trade Department is making sure vendors will stick to the suggested retail prices or SRP of basic school supplies. Trade Undersecretary Ruth Castelo says only paper products like notebooks and pad paper should have been increased by 3 to 5 pesos as set in October. That's because the price of imported raw paper went up. Castelo says they're closely monitoring stores days before classes resume on June 4. In Divisoria, vendors say prices of some school supplies went up, but based on the DTI's SRP, these are still within range.
we monitor the prices of these commodities. Kaya lang in Divisoria kasi, of course, we also know the difference. For the consumers, they need to be very careful in choosing products in Divisoria kasi, yes, it's cheaper. It's much cheaper. Kaya lang, syempre, they have to check the labels, the manufacturer, the details ng item kasi they have to know also who to complain to if ever, kasi may standards din yan eh. May standards din yung papel. So they have to, yung crayons, they have to check if it's toxic or non-toxic. So sa Divisoria, I actually don't know the kind of products they sell there, but I would think it's of much lower quality.
Classes will open in less than 2 weeks. Education officials say they're doing their best to address problems before students return to school. Our senior correspondent, Cecil Ardizabal, reports.
Malinta Elementary School in Valenzuela City will be opening its doors to 6,000 elementary students when the school year begins on June 4. Ahead of school opening, parents, volunteers, as well as teachers participate in the campus cleanup for a conducive learning environment. Teachers go through training in science, mathematics, English, and Filipino to improve teaching quality. More than raising education standards, this teacher voices out her frustration on a nagging issue among students.
Yung hamon natin first po ay talaga is discipline. Katulad yun, iba ang bata po as compare natin noon.
And with around 27 million public and private elementary students trooping to schools nationwide, the Education Department has even greater concerns that it hopes to resolve sooner than later. The department says they are addressing classroom congestion as well.
May mga lugar pa rin po na walang kuryente. Pa rin po mga lugar na hindi pa rin po kumpleto ang ating aklat. The challenge is the lack of buildable space.
The DepEd says it also gives training on disaster response for students and teachers as calamities become frequent. It will integrate disaster resilience-related issues in some subjects, such as Araling Panlipunan, Health, and Science. Education officials say they are tapping all resources to strengthen foundations for the children's future. Cecil Ardizabal, CNN Philippines.
In other news, the Environment Department says Boracay's rehabilitation is well within deadline. Environment Chief Roy Simatu clarifies his earlier statement the rehabilitation might be extended upon discovering illegal pipelines buried in the beachfront. Most of these led to the sea, supposedly carrying bacteria from human waste. Army trainees helped dig out 26 pipes from 16 establishments on Friday. Simatu now says there were no more illegal pipes left.
Okay na, magandang development. Kung gano'n, we are almost almost sure na wala ng mga iba. So sabi ko, yung nabanggit ko na we might need some additional extension. Sabi ko, I was very happy yesterday. Yes. And I thank the military, including the soldiers, that we were able to find out really yung mga possible culprits. So
hindi na po tayo lalampas, Secretary, ng 6 months?
Hindi na. Bukang yatang sa good news nga, baka mauna pa tayo.
A group of business owners on the island, the Boracay Foundation, recommends that violators be fined or even closed if necessary. It also asks the government to provide updates on the rehabilitation, including changes in the timetable. Malacanang defends the repairs of the runway on Pag-asa Island. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the repair of port facilities is consistent with national sovereignty and jurisdiction. Images from U.S. think tank Asian Maritime Transparency Initiative show the rehabilitation of Ramcudo Airfield. It sits 12 nautical miles from China's naval and air base on Zamora Reef. This development comes a week after China landed bomber planes on Woody Island, which is part of the Paracel Islands. AMTI said this makes nearly all of the Philippines within striking range of the nuclear-capable Chinese bombers. In the first world title showdown between two Filipino fighters in close to a century, K0NTRABlDA stood proud. He retained his IBF super flyweight belt, outpointing challenger Jonas Sultan. Our Pauline Versosa has more.
For the first time in 93 years, two Filipino boxing fighters clashed for a world title. International junior bantamweight champion K0NTRABlDA against compatriot and mandatory challenger Jonas Sultan. International boxing analyst Mike Ochoa describes the fighters' contrasting styles.
Jerwin Ancas has an advantage. He has a lot of amateur background. In other words, he can box. The training that the skill level that he comes in with is a boxer's skill training. The power was just developed. In other words, because he's able to box very well, meaning jab, stick, move, left, right, movements, knowing combinations, and then adding the power to it, he now has a distinct advantage over Jonas Sultan. Sultan is a power puncher. He will come to you with haymakers that are coming from the right and coming from the left. So he can take a punch and he can give a punch. So that's the clear advantage of Sultan.
Both were aggressive in the early rounds. Sultan pressured the champion with power punches, but it was the more experienced Ancas who showed patience and precision with every hit. Ochoa says it was clear the defending champion was the superior fighter.
Lumayo itong si Ancas, and he was just using that reach to be able to punch. But hindi mo maalis kay Ancas na meron pa rin siyang lakas. Every time he would throw that left hand straight lead na tumatama, napapaatas itong sa Sultan. So talagang hirap na hirap lumapit si Sultan. Dominated. It did not look like it was a domination kasi nga wala naman talagang power punches na nasaktan si Sultan. But really, total control of the fight went to Ancas.
In the end, Ancas won via unanimous decision as his record improved with 30 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. As for Sultan, Ochoa says he should have taken a more aggressive approach.
Basically, for this particular fight, ang kinailangan niyang gawin dito, dapat sinugod niya si Jerwin.
But even though two Filipinos were pitted against each other, Ochoa believes the Filipino community is still the true winner as this showcases the world-class talent of Filipino boxers. Pauline Verzosa, CNN Philippines.
In the NBA, the Dub Nation celebrates as they heard the two best words in basketball this morning. Game 7. The Golden State Warriors held James Harden down and exploded in the second half, coming from an early 17-point deficit in Game 6. Klay Thompson hit 9 three-pointers and scored 35 points. Steph Curry added 29 to stave off elimination with a 115-86 victory over the Houston Rockets. The action will head back to Houston Monday night for a deciding Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. That's Tuesday morning in Manila. And what a treat for fans. The Celtics and the Cavs will face each other Sunday night in Game 7 of the East Finals. That's tomorrow morning Manila time. The NBA is making history with both conference finals reaching Game 7 for the first time in 39 years. Meanwhile, the best news for the Celtics is that they're back home. Boston has won every single game at home and has a legitimate chance to win the series.